We're so hard on ourselves. And we're harder on ourselves than we are on others. It's striving, 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 helping meet the needs of others. And it's like, where do I fit in this picture? So, helping the reframe, not that you can't help others, but don't forget about yourself and what you want.
This is Overwhelmed and Over It, the podcast where parents get to raise their kids, keep their sanity, and build their business.
I am really excited to introduce this week's guest. Gina and I got connected on a workshop, actually. And then it was just like one of those things where the minute we met each other and started chit-chatting and connecting and building a relationship, is like, she's my people. And she even messaged me just the other day and was like, if we lived closer, we'd totally be hanging out. And I could not agree more. And every time I see Gina out in the world, I get so much FOMO that I don't live closer. So next time I'm in your neck of the woods, we will be catching up. So Gina, would you like to introduce yourself to the Overwhelmed and Over audience?
Yeah. So first of all, I'm so happy to be here and actually connect with you. It is almost like a dream come true, but it's just like, yes, meeting my people, connect with my people. I'm a life design coach. I'm helping women do is to live in their main character energy. So what, right? Okay. I'm so excited. I just came up with this yesterday, but it's
Love it.
actually to help them own their story, own their choices, to own their future and not somebody else's. I think we're so in this as women in our society. We are, comparing ourselves to others or living this life of shoulds and whatever people have expected of us, like in our families or friends. So it's like taking this back and figuring out like what really helps me as a woman and other women like tap into what's important to them so they can create their story and make whatever changes that they want to make to create a life that they love because everybody deserves to live a life they love. So that's what I do. I use a life design framework. It really centers around acceptance, accepting where you are right now, even if you don't want to be where you are. I actually, this week, I was like, oh, yeah, life design framework in my business. Let's go. Like, I need to accept where I am right now. I am not happy. Like, I want to be somewhere else. But, accepting that, being honest with yourself, being, having like curiosity, dreaming, quieting the noise too, to kind of figure out like what's what I want as opposed to what I feel like I should be doing.
Oh, I love that a lot because I look back now and I can look at all these different seasons of my life where I don't think in the time that I was like living it, I would have been able to pinpoint and say, I'm living for someone else or I'm just going through the motion. But now that I'm, 5 years into entrepreneurship, where I say kind of the greatest gift I got out of this is this mirror of acceptance and awareness of like who I really am, where I'm really at. I look back at all of those seasons of life and I'm like, wait a second. I was saying yes to all of these things because I just thought I should, or I just thought that's what was next. And like, it wasn't all bad. And I have had that conversation, I think, several times on this podcast. I think so many times we feel like, or I feel like the narrative a lot of times is like entrepreneurship versus corporate. And it's like, it's not always like one is bad and one is good. It's just like for this phase of your life, what supports the life you want? What supports the life that makes you happy or the life that you love? Because I'm with you. Like we get one shot at this thing called life, and you
Right.
absolutely freaking deserve to love it because it's
Yes,
yours.
girl.
So you should.
See, I know. Yeah, totally. Totally. Because the other thing is like we're so hard on ourselves, and we're harder on ourselves than we are on others. And we're also, I mean, not everyone, but in general, like as women in our society, it's like striving, 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 helping meet the needs of others. And it's like, where do I fit in this picture? So helping the reframe, not that you can't help others, but don't forget about yourself and what you want.
When they talk about like you can't pour from an empty cup, right? And so it's like you
Oh,
have to refill and you can't pour from an empty cup. But she sent me this description where someone actually like broke down what that verse actually says. And it was very interesting to see. It actually says nothing about pouring. There is no physical tipping of the cup. It's that you have taken such good care of yourself and you have given so much to your needs and your joys and your best self that you are overflowing and can just have so much to give to others. And it was literally a 90-second video she sent me, and she sent it to me like 6 or 7 months ago, and I mean, I'm telling you, it replays in my head over and over and over every time that I start to feel like an inch of guilt for I'm going to bed early because I'm exhausted and I just can't play referee for another minute tonight, or we're running through a drive-through tonight because I just can't make dinner tonight, or whatever it may be. Like, I just have to replay that because sometimes you have to do that. You have to say, I can't do it today,
Yeah.
and that's all right.
I've had one of those weeks, to be honest. I've had a couple of days this week where it was like, schedule is open. I'm like, I'm gonna get all this done. I have all this work to do. And I'm like, physically, I just like, I can't do it. But I just listened to myself and my body and what I needed. And, we have to remind ourselves, like you said, like it's okay. And I got filled back up and recharged. And in those times too, like I want to talk about this too, an aspect of being a founder. I didn't consider myself a founder when I started. I was just like, I just want to be a coach, right? Going into this entrepreneurial journey. But in those moments, it's important to have your people. Like,
Mm.
who's your support? Whether or not they're in this journey, the same type of journey you are. Thankfully, I have both. I have some really good friends that aren't entrepreneurs. They've been my really good friends. They're my safe people. So I have that. But I've also created a network of other entrepreneurs, like other coaches on the same journey. And really like when I'm having those days or those times and realizing like there are people there that want to support me, we have this relationship to go ahead and like ask for that help. Because sometimes people aren't always, we feel like we have to do it ourselves or we have to be tough or, like hustle through. But I've had to do that a lot lately and it's been okay. And it's been good.
I think you're right. One, I think there's a lot of us who fall into entrepreneurship, right? This is not a career path that many of us, we went to high school and we went to college, and this is the next step for us. It's becoming more traditional. And I think that there are a lot of universities that are now offering it, and it's happening more frequently. And like I think about my kids' generation. I mean, my kids have watched me build 3 businesses from home. So I think for them, it's going to be like, sure, that's a choice. They won't think twice about it. But
Right.
today, many of us have fallen into it. And so I think you're right. Like, it starts with when we talk about building a life we really want, accepting that that is a part of our identity and that that is
Mm,
okay. Because, much like you were saying, it was your schedule this week to control, and that schedule was very open. But that doesn't mean that we weren't still programmed to keep running, keep going, keep doing. And like, let's be real, especially if we're doing this thing alone, or maybe you have a co founder, but you're like running on a super small, lean team. You're like, that to-do list is not stopping just because my body is,
oh,
or because my
girl,
energy
you are,
tank is
yeah.
is down, right?
I think that's part of it, it's like the weekend comes, I'm at home working and it's like it's all combined, like home and business. It's not like I leave my job on, Friday and go home and don't think about it or whatever, but it's just like it's all intertwined. And so finding that balance and finding out what's going to work. I'm still figuring that out. I'm like a year and a half in and, part of the struggle for me is like being patient with myself. I think that's the perfectionistic tendencies in myself.
I love that though, like giving yourself patience, because yeah, I mean, it's never something I've had to accept. It's never actually going to stop, right? Because this season of entrepreneurship is going to look different than next season, than the season after, than the season after. So like, what balance looks like then versus now versus the next season is always going to look a little different too. Um, because I remember when I started, my husband was home with the kids. So like, I could run as fast and as hard as I wanted to, and trust me, I did. And the results the results weren't great, okay? I don't recommend. 0 out of 10, don't do that. Um, and then, in this last year, we kind of swapped and my husband went back to work, and so I've taken on primary parenting responsibilities, and really entrepreneurship is kind of my second job. And that has been a really interesting dynamic that I've had to untangle of my own identity and giving myself that grace and patience of like, I want to be with my business. I love this stuff. I live for this stuff, but I have actual human beings that are living and need me too. And it's like,
Yeah.
when do you start and when do you stop? And
Mhm.
I think like you're saying too, is it's so intertwined because the ideas don't stop. And I think that's something maybe that I don't hear talked about enough is it's not just the to-do list. It's the
Mhm.
ideas that don't stop. So it's like, even if you do technically cross everything off the to-do list, you're always thinking about it because this is usually a passion. It's something you love. So you're like, what else? And you're excited and you're always dreaming. And so it can be really hard to just turn that piece off.
Mhm. I think for me too is like it's me. Like I'm the business, I'm the coach, I'm the admin like and I think part of this week was realizing like I have to keep doing all the things. Like, I cannot I just learned how to do landing pages. That's one thing. Like, learn if you're a new entrepreneur, like learn what landing pages are. And like, I didn't learn that till a couple months ago. Like, where has this been? I can't even believe I'm admitting that. Maybe you'll edit it out, maybe not, and it's totally cool. But like all these things that I have to keep doing, like to bring people and business in, like send the newsletter, make sure people I know I'm there, post on social media, so the ideas and the doing, and I think this week I'm like, it's me. I've got to keep this up and I've got to find a way to make this sustainable. And so I think that's where that piece of resting my body was just like, you know what, just check out for a day or two. That's okay. I was writing my notes before, what we might talk about. I'm an instant gratification person. And I'm also the type that's like, talking about my perfectionism, I want my business to look like this. I want my newsletter to look perfect. I don't want to do all this like the marathoning. Like I want to do the 100-yard dash, but that's not reality. And so that's hard for me. Just again that patience and the perseverance. I'm always learning. Always learning.
Oh, but I've like learned to say that the always learning is honestly like the funnest part of the journey now. Because
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think every day we are waking up and doing something we've never done before.
That is you are yep. It's like an amen. I mean like yes.
Oh, Gina, well, I'm honored to know you and I am honored to be alongside you on your journey. And as you keep learning and you keep showing up and helping us design lives that we love, how can we help support you?
I am really trying to find my people. Like, I know my ideal client. I'm trying to find them. And if you feel like, I mean, I'd love to get the message out there just to like help people know even more how I support and like the transformation that you can have. Just having a conversation to almost like learning information gathering at this point to be like, what can I offer that's really going to be supportive and powerful in your life or another woman's life? I don't know if I should say it's, I really want to start getting on YouTube, maybe doing some lives, doing some like life design hours, like we come and we chat, maybe doing some in-person stuff too. But follow me on the socials, Gina the Life Coach. I'm on YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn. And yeah, I just love to learn about, what would help you design a beautiful life that you love living and live in that main character energy. So it's all about supporting others.
Yes. Okay. Well, we will make sure all of your links are in the show notes so that we can connect with you in all the places and share what's going on in our lives so that way you can help us get out of the shit.
Yes, girl.
If any part resonated with you today, I'd love to hear from you. Connect with me on LinkedIn at Gabs Hayes, or make sure you are registered for the Overwhelmed and Over It newsletter, which we deliver to you every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Remember, You're not alone in this journey. We're all overwhelmed, but we don't have to stay that way. Until next time, this is Gabs.